Hello and welcome back to the Huddle Season 2. As always, I'm your host, Maya Perez, and we are back to give you the takes on the latest in the sports world. Let's start off with some threes, maybe some twos. I don't know, maybe I'll hit a cool free throw or something. Oh, we're supposed to be talking about the NBA, huh? Specifically, dun dun dun, the Boston Celtics, who were very far into the playoffs last year, but sad news, their star player, Jason Tatum, tore his Achilles. But everyone thought they were going to be trash after that, but this season, they've been surprisingly great. Chris, Whit, and Ethan, what do you guys think of the Celtics in their season so far?
All right, appreciate that, Maya. Today, we're discussing the Boston Celtics, #2 in the East, their dominance, and how they're playing without their star player, Jason Tatum. Whit, I'll toss it over to you. What do you think about the Celtics season and how they're doing?
Well, like you said, no Jason Tatum, no star player. It all comes down to how good of a team can you build around Tatum and how well can they do without their star player. I mean, you've talking about guys who's taking jumps. You talk about Hugo Gonzalez. You talk about Keita. You talk about, Jaylen Brown, who we know was a leader. I mean, you talk about all these guys who have taken a step up in this game. So when Tatum comes back, they can be the 1 seed. I don't think we could say the same about the Pacers since they're the bottom of the East compared to, without their best player, compared to the Celtics, who are 2nd seed, 41-21. Crazy, especially without your best player.
Second to the Pistons. What do you think they're going to be able to do? How are they going to fare against the Pistons this year?
I mean, right now, I think the Pistons get the best of them, but no Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's going to come back. They're going to ease him into the lineup, and then I think they can beat almost anyone, especially with how they're playing.
I mean, my whole thing is, Joe Mazzulla is a genius. I mean, we look at, when we look at this roster, yes, it's a good roster, but this team was very much built around what Tatum was doing. The completeness of Tatum, the defense of Tatum, the playmaking of him, the shot making. And then when you take that away, this team's still 2nd in the East. And it has to do with, Jaylen Brown, leveling up as a leader. You have Derek White playing his heart out. You have all these pieces, Neemias Queta, Beam Team legend, doing his thing. And when you look at it, like, Jason Tatum, I feel like if the Celtics were the, 6th seed, 7th seed, something like that, we might have seen Tatum back already because,
he's rushing to get back.
He's rushing to get back. Yeah. We've already seen him in practice for the G League team. We've already seen all of that. So there is a world where if the Celtics weren't doing that well, they could have rushed him back. But the fact that they're willing to, wait on this top 5, top 10 player because of how good they're playing says a lot about what Joe Mazzulla has done this year.
And they're still playing great. They're still playing well. 41-20. 2nd in the East. What do you think they're going to do against? Do you think they'll be better than the Pistons in the playoffs? Do you think?
As the world's biggest Cade fan, I'm going to say the Pistons are going to win that matchup.
Cade.
But, I mean, in general, I think that is, especially with Tatum back, that'd be a great matchup for the Celtics.
What about if Tatum doesn't come back?
If Tatum doesn't come back, that's a much closer matchup. I think
Who do you got?
I'm taking the Pistons. I mean, I think they get ran off the court. Cade's looked great this year, albeit on not great efficiency. Jalen Duren's taken a huge step. Ahmed Thompson? Asar?
Asar, I think.
No, Asar. Yeah, one of the Thompsons. They take a huge leap. This team defensively looks amazing. I think Cade's play style works perfectly for the postseason. We just saw it with Shea. These, playmaking mid-range heavy guards are slowly starting to take over the league. So with someone like Detroit, I think this could be their year if Tatum's out.
With Tatum or without Tatum, the Detroit Pistons, they're not going to beat the Celtics in a 7-game series. This is a championship basketball team with or without Tatum. They've won a title. And the Pistons, have they made a playoff run?
They made the playoffs last year. They didn't look that great, but
They haven't made a deep playoff run.
No.
They've been playing great this year, #1 in the East, but for them to be better than the Celtics in a 7-game series, I just don't see it happening.
You say with or without Tatum.
With or without Tatum?
Okay. Who won that Finals MVP? JB.
With or without Tatum, I think that without Tatum, let's say Tatum doesn't come back. Jaylen Brown can carry the Celtics to a title without Jason Tatum.
You think JB could be the number one option in a 7-game final series against, let's say, the Spurs, or let's say against, the Thunder?
I don't know about all of that, but if it has to be just Jaylen Brown with the rest of the guys, with the rest of the C's, playing against the Pistons, I think that they'll come out of the East against the Pistons. Well, whether they'll win a title without Jason Tatum, that's saying a lot because the Thunder are tough. Even if the Thunder don't come out, the Thunder are going to come out. The Spurs are tough.
Yeah.
So winning a title without Jason Tatum, I don't know about all of that, but coming out of the East, I think that they've got that for sure.
Here's how I would categorize it. Without Jason Tatum, the Celtics are a fun team who is fun to watch, but are they really serious about going deep into the NBA playoffs? I don't think Jaylen Brown's a number one option that could lead a team through the Thunder or through the Spurs. Same thing with the Spurs. They're a fun team to watch in the regular season, but it all breaks down when it comes to the playoffs, and when you don't have that experience to lean on like you do with the Celtics, with the duo of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, you can lean on their experience, and they can give guys, little tidbits to help them, like Hugo Gonzalez and like Keita, that haven't been there before. And so I think they're a fun team without Tatum and a real contender with Tatum.
Okay, so let's say Celtics Spurs in the finals.
With or without
Tatum.
Spurs in 4.
In 4.
Jesus.
Maybe in 5. Maybe in 5.
Yeah, I was about to say in
Spurs
4.
Jesus.
Spurs in 5, but I mean the Spurs.
Okay, let's say with Tatum then.
Spurs in 7.
You got a lot of faith in these Spurs, man.
I do.
So do I. I think they come out of the West too.
You think the Spurs are coming out of the West?
Dude, look at their depth.
This team is scary.
Look at their depth. They have Wemby. They have Dylan Harper. They have Carter Bryant. They have Stephon Castle. I mean,
I respect all of that.
I could go on and on and on and on. I mean, they probably have a few gems in their G League team too. But
Don't forget De'Aaron Martez Fox.
Exactly, and D. Fox, and all of the Celtics' best players are already on the roster, the main roster, because of the injuries. And that's why you see guys like Keita get in their shine, and that's why you see guys like Hugo Gonzalez get in their shine. But I feel like there hasn't been a lot of change in the Spurs roster, given that there's no injuries.
My other thing is, if this was, the Spurs, or not Spurs, the Celtics look this great without Tatum. If they were serious about this, wouldn't they make some sort of move at the trade line to prove that this is an all-in roster or an all-in year?
The Celtics?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that they
Really?
need to do that. The Spurs have to go through OKC.
Yeah.
And when you're picking between two teams to win a playoff series, the thing to me that's going to separate these two squads is the playoff experience. The Thunder have done it. They've won a title. That is the thing that they have to hang their hat on. They have the best player in the world. I understand he's been injured, and when you're out for a long time, people forget. And the Thunder are going to have to get all of their players back, obviously, and remind the rest of the world that they're the best team. They're the defending champs.
Yeah.
The Spurs, they have to go through the Thunder, and I don't think in a 7-game series that they're going to be able to.
Let's not
tough
say that
them
the
out.
Spurs don't have any experience, though. Harrison Barnes was on some of those Warriors teams. De'Aaron Fox took the defending champion Golden State Warriors to 7 games.
Hey, and let's not forget what we were saying about this Thunder team before they won that title.
Yeah.
Oh, they're a young team. I don't know if they can go through most veteran teams. I see the same thing. It's like I'm getting a flashback. I see the same thing about the Spurs. I see that same greatness. Is Wemby on the same tier as Shea when he was doing that? Probably not. I think it'll take maybe a year or two. But they're a young team, and I think they can compete right now, just like the Thunder did when they were saying, oh, they're too young. And Shea even said it themselves, yeah, we're a young team, but we're just going to go out there and ball. And I think that's what the Spurs can do.
I mean, experience wins most of the time, but emphasis on most of the time. Let's look at that Warriors dynasty. Their first playoff run was, 2012, 2013. By 2015, they already had a chip. Against prime LeBron, against prime, Kyrie. So when you have these young pieces, cheaper pieces, who are still in their or not physical prime, but, you know, close to their physical prime. You have Wemby, Wemby. What's stopping that?
He's going to be the best player in the world very soon.
I think he already is.
Absolutely.
You think so? You think he's already the best player in the world?
I think, like, a weird way to put it for pound, if you want to put it that way, yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm a little hesitant
Over
on
SG,
that.
it's really just him and SGA.
Thank you, guys. Honestly, I feel like I just earned a degree in the Boston Celtics basketball. But let's switch it up and talk some hockey. The trade deadline is later today, which means things are about to get very interesting. There are a few players who've turned into some serious hot commodities around the league, and teams are definitely making the calls. So now, we're bringing in our experts, hockey experts, Kyle and Justin, to break down some potential trade targets. Justin, take it away.
Thank you, Maya, and it's time for hockey. And I know Nate's not here. He's kind of the one that brings us all together, but we can do this without him. We're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
This isn't the Nate segment. It's the hockey segment.
It's not the Nate segment.
It's not. And
We love you, Nate. We love you, Nate.
We do.
We love you, Nate.
And coming up, it's the trade deadline.
Yeah.
We're over the hangover of the Olympics. We're fully back into NHL-style business, and that includes the trade deadline. And there's some interesting things to look out for. What do you think, Kyle?
I mean, it's just pretty much one of the most exciting times in hockey. You have the back half of the season, you have the trade deadline, and I think now it's going to kind of be the most unique trade deadline we've seen, because we have teams that we never thought would like basically sell the house, and we have teams that we expected to sell the house, kind of looking for certain pieces to make that postseason push. And this is the beauty of the trade deadline. There's so many things that we think and we could say what happens, but not until that clock strikes, that's when everything's said and done, and it's just a really exciting time.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, talk about someone we didn't expect to sell. How about the Florida Panthers, the reigning Cup champions, and now they're looking, I've been hearing Sergei Bobrovsky just might be gone. He might be shipped off to Edmonton.
That makes the most sense in hindsight, because they're not going to get rid of, they have so much depth at the forward position, and the one thing that you have to look at with Bobrovsky is his age. Like, he's up there in age. He's still a tremendous goaltender, don't get me wrong, but they could arguably get a lot for him and build kind of that forwards room. Another team that I don't think we expected was the New York Rangers. They are in kind of not a good spot. They're sitting almost dead last, and Panarin's gone. He went to the Kings.
Yep.
You're looking at a team that could potentially be in the sell now mindset, build for the future, because they've made the playoffs in past years, but now there's no excitement to that team anymore. I know you have Vincent Trocheck could potentially be gone. JT Miller could potentially be gone. There's so many pieces on that team that I think you could get a good bargain for if you play your cards right, that they're kind of like, okay, we sell now, try and build for the future.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Trocheck, I think, is going to be a Minnesota Wild after the trade deadline. I think that's his most realistic landing spot.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and another one of the sort of like the top acquisitions that's going to be made at the deadline is who is going to trade for Robert Thompson. And I know your Buffalo Sabres, they're looking at him.
The problem with Robert Thomas, right, is we are in a spot right now where we do not need to change anything. We are second in our division. The last time that has happened, I wasn't even watching hockey. Like, it has been such a long time since the Sabres have been good. And 2011 was the last time we had a postseason win. And I just think you don't switch up what's been working for the team right now, because I saw the trade package that they would be getting, and I have to say, I disagree with it 100%. I think Owen Power, a top 3 pick, a very good defenseman in my eyes, a young talent. What the Sabres love to do is we're a training ground for good players. We get young talent, we train them up, and then they go off to either Florida or they go off, in this case, to the Vegas Golden Knights and win a championship. And I just don't think you can do that with this team. Like, you saw where we were at the start of the season. Fired GM Kevin Adams, and no one thought the Sabres would be good. Then you rip off like an insane winning streak, and you have guys that buy into your system, buy into your program, and I just don't think it's worth changing that. And Owen Thompson, young talent, as I said, as well as another player, kind of a prospect, and then Jack Quinn as well. There's no reason why you should be giving those two players up, and as well as a prospect, for a guy like Robert Thomas, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you mentioned Owen Power, I believe it is, not Owen Thompson, but who's expected to know their own favorite team like the back of their hand? That's just me personally. But yeah, Owen Power, sort of a top 3 pick, hasn't really worked out. But you still have an opportunity to add Robert Thomas. He's only 26 years old. He's a young piece, and he's already a point-per-game kind of player. I understand that you're a little skeptical about trading for him, but I think it really makes a big difference for not only now, but for future seasons. He can be your C1, your C2 for the next 5-10 seasons.
I agree with what you're saying. I just, the mentality that I'm in, because I haven't gotten to witness the Sabres being good like ever, and I just think you stick with what works in my eyes. And we're coming on all cylinders right now. Everything's clicking. A lot of young guys still. I think we still have one of the youngest average age on our team. And I just think, yes, Robert Thomas has kind of that vet experience, if you will, but I don't understand the change. But your team, though, made an acquisition, so...
We made the opposite of an acquisition. We gave away a guy. Connor Murphy was the longest tenured Blackhawk. He's been on the team. We traded Nicholas Hjalmarsson for him. That's how long ago that was.
Wow.
Yeah, and we traded him to Edmonton for a 2028 second-round pick, which is honestly better value than I'm expecting because he's about a league average defenseman. And
good move for Edmonton, though.
Good move for Edmonton. They need a defender. He's serviceable. He's going to play in the playoffs, and he has a chance to compete because we haven't made the playoffs a single season that he's been here. Crazy to think about for Chicago, but that's the truth. And I think another person who might be moved on our team is Ilya Mikheyev. I know it's kind of like the Ryan Donato situation from last season where it's either we're going to extend him or we're going to trade him. We extended Donato. We were not able to extend Mikheyev in the offseason, so I think he's gone.
And then it brings up Toronto as well.
Yes.
Because Toronto is kind of the gray point of the NHL right now because you have Austin Matthews coming off of a gold medal, arguably one of the top runs in Olympic history, men's Olympic history, and yet you see the NHL and kind of that doesn't transition at all. And I think you got rid of Marner, you have Nylander, you have Marner, you have just those type of star players, Tavares as well. It's just, I don't understand how Toronto can get out of the mud because they have all those guys. You know, they broke through the first round curse a couple years ago against the Lightning. And there's no way they trade away Matthews. You cannot trade away Matthews. But Tavares, Nylander, those are type of guys that I think you could get, not just depth, but you could get something for them 100%.
Yeah, you mentioned that. When Marner left to go to Vegas, where we are at in free agency, there was like a thing in the back of my mind being like, I think Toronto's window is over. And this season, they've kind of shown that window might be over. But those guys, as you mentioned, I definitely could see them being traded at the trade deadline. And also another name I think to look for is over in Vancouver. They're really struggling. How about former hot shot young prospect Elias Peterson? What do you think about him?
I mean, Vancouver's another weird team because they should be in the sell all mentality. They haven't been good for a couple years now, and they had one of the best playoff runs in terms of comebacks I've ever seen. But now it's kind of like Quinn Hughes gone. He was the star player. He's the guy you build your team around of. He's gone. Now you're kind of looking at Elias Pettersson being like, okay, do we move him? What's really going to happen? But that's why the trade deadline is so beautiful because segueing into the back half of the season, those players that are traded get to help the teams get to that postseason, get to the coveted chance to win, arguably the best trophy in sports, the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and I believe that's all the time we have on this episode, this segment of the Hockey on the Huddle. And it's been great talking to you about the trade deadline and potential playoff teams and whatnot. Yep. But that's all the time we have for today. Back to you at the desk, Maya.
Thank you, Kyle and Justin. But let's visit the topic that has only been in the Huddle one episode, UFC. Fact about UFC 326, the main event between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira is actually a rematch more than a decade in the making. They first fought back in 2015 when Holloway won after Oliveira suffered an early injury. At that time, neither guy was a champion yet, but fast forward to UFC 326, and now you've got two former world champions headlining a stacked card for the BMF belt. It's one of those rare rematches where both fighters are completely different and way more dangerous than they were the first time around. Harrow, Ethan, and John will be discussing the upcoming UFC 326. Harrow, go ahead and start us off.
Thank you so much, Maya. This weekend, we have UFC 326 going down, an amazing card going down at the T-Mobile Arena. I'm joined by Ethan and John Carl. Man, what a fight card.
Yeah, it is going to be a fun one. I mean, in the main event, we got Holloway versus Oliveira for the BMF. These are just two fan favorites. These are two fighters I no one really wants to see lose, so there's a lot of emotion in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one, like you just said, you don't want to see either guy lose, but you also don't want to see one, you know, maybe get flatlined or something like that. But what's your take on this?
I mean, it's kind of like hard for me for this fight because they're my two favorite fighters in the division. So part of me just wants to see him, you know, kind of just hug it out in the middle of the ring. But then again, it is a fight, so we got to see someone lose, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. So,
I mean, we've seen from both camps, these two fighters want to play in each other's games. We saw Holloway talk about how he wants to grapple. We've seen videos of Oliveira pointing down during his training camp, looking to be ready for those moments. And they're just both ready to get flatlined. They're both ready to get submitted if the time comes. This is going to be a war. This is going to be fun. This is going to be, even during fight week, we got, you know, weigh-ins, press conference. This is just going to be a fun week.
I agree. I think this fight also, you know, is good for what it's called, the BMF. I mean, these are guys that have been in some tough fights. Charles Oliveira, I think you define his career as BMF, man.
Hey, most finishes in history, you know?
That, and you just think about what he's gone through, like even the first fight against Max Holloway, he tapped his strikes, and now he ultimately became undisputed lightweight champion. So I'm excited. I think obviously Max Holloway is, you know, also the definition of a BMF, and stylistically, I think there's a couple ways this will play out, but what do you think, John? How do you think this fight's gonna play out?
I mean, obviously, the one thing that concerns me the most for Charles' standpoint is that he's very hittable. I mean, we've seen him time and time again, you know, get his chin cracked by multiple fighters. But I think for Max, I think this is like one of the first few like pure grapplers that he's gonna be facing for a while. And I'm confident in Charles. You know, I feel like he's gonna stand and bang with Max for a little bit. But I think at some point he's gonna look to, you know, shoot a clinch or maybe even a takedown and try and get him to the ground and, you know, submit him. And when you're on the ground with Charles, I don't know if there's like any other way for you to kind of just, you know, get out of that, because, you know, obviously his submission, he's one of the best submission artists in all of UFC. So I think for Max, that's gonna be a really, you know, tough thing to kind of just figure out. So I think this is a good fight for Charles to, you know, kind of just cement himself as being one of the top lightweights again and try to maybe, you know, get a title shot with Ilya.
I agree, and I think if you're a Charles fan watching this fight from home or inside the arena, I think you want him to not take his own, you know, task he dared himself to do so seriously of, you know, accepting the point down to the middle of the cage and standing and banging with Max Holloway, because we've seen what Max Holloway does there, right? Put Gaethje out cold in probably the most iconic moment in UFC history, at least in recent history. Dustin Poirier said, and when he fought Max in Louisiana, that once he felt those first couple punches from Max, he did not want any of that. And that's a guy, that's Dustin Poirier. I love Charles Oliveira, but we know his chin probably is not holding up as much as it used to, you know? So I think his path to victory is closing the distance, going and getting the clinch, and maybe working from there, try to get him down. I just hope he doesn't. From a Charles standpoint, I don't think he should stand and bang with Max Holloway throughout the fight.
I mean, we've seen it over the past few years. Lighterman skill is really a thing. Lighterman skill has been proven to be a huge advantage for fighters, with fighters moving up. Granted, Oliveira also moved up from featherweight. But my whole thing is, I lost sleep in like, you know, leading into 317. I was like, is this Oliveira's moment? And then he gets knocked out in the first round. His chin just isn't going to hold up. That's been proven over the past few years. And with someone like Holloway, who has crazy power, even at lightweight where it is a bit, you know, not as much, it's just scary. Granted, Holloway's more of a, you know, volume puncher more than power puncher, but at the same time, if Oliveira fights the way he always does, where he's going to stand and bang you for a while until he gets you to the ground, I don't see a world where Oliveira's chin just holds up.
I agree. I just think, too, that and what you just said, you know, the volume Max can output on a fighter, I think that might be too much for a guy like Charles Oliveira in this stage of his career. Maybe a couple years back when he was going through that crazy run where he went through the gauntlet to become champion, we could be having a different conversation. But I just think right now, especially Max, the guy can defend the takedown beautifully, and he outpours the volume the way he does to these guys. He just frustrates fighters. So I don't think Charles should go down that path. What about you?
I mean, again, I just think the only way Charles wins this fight is if he just, shoots for a clinch like right away. Because like you guys said, Max is one of the best volume punchers in probably all of UFC. His striking accuracy is crazy good. And at 155, I feel like he just has more power compared to, when he was in featherweight. So I think, again, I just think Charles, we know how Charles is. He's going to try and, stand up for a little bit. But again, I think he just should shoot for, clinch early into the fight to kind of, give himself a good chance to win.
Yeah, and from a Max Holloway standpoint, I think, if you're a Max Holloway fan, you're a bit more excited going into this one, right? Because what we just mentioned, the volume he can output on the fighters, just frustrating all these guys. I think there is more of a world where we see him potentially get the finish or just a 49-46, even 50-45 if it's that bad. But I think you'd be a bit more confident betting in Max Holloway.
I mean, the other thing that I look at with this fight is what it means for lightweight in general. I mean, last time we saw the belt get moved from Gaethje to Holloway, it gave him a title shot at featherweight against Ilya. So who says if Holloway puts on a clinic here, either if that's a 5-round, absolute beatdown or a first-round knockout, we might just see another title shot after that Gaethje-Ilya fight.
I don't think that's too far-fetched. I agree with you, Ethan, and especially when you consider, the run of side quests Armin is going on right now. I don't know if those side quests are necessarily benefiting him right now. He just got in a fight at RAF after he already beat the opponent, so I don't know if Armin Tsarukyan's still on the good side or still on the bad side.
I mean, Dana just hates him.
Yeah, or maybe that, you never know. But like Ethan said, I think Max Holloway goes out, puts on a clinic. Maybe they do Gaethje right away to Poirier. As soon as that fight's settled, you throw Max Holloway in there, and he gets a shot at Ilya again.
I do think at lightweight that is a much different fight.
I mean, we saw that fight at featherweight. Max was holding his ground until, he obviously got brutally, flatlined. But yeah, I do think at 155, it's a way different Max Holloway. It's a different version that we see of him. So I think it might be closer than we, might put it as. But I just don't know if Ilya is ever going to lose in the UFC. But hey,
if there's anyone, it'd be Armin.
Yeah,
realistically, it'd be Armin.
Oh, even then, I think Armin's shown to be a bit chinny. Even if you go back to his neck.
I mean, he almost lost to Oliveira.
Yeah, I mean, Armin's been known to... He has his chin out when he goes and attacks, so I don't know if that will necessarily benefit him. But that's another conversation for another day. But if we talk Max Holloway getting the title shot at Ilya at 55, you also got to factor Ilya was maybe not public, but he was struggling to go down to 45. So now they're both, a bit more beefed out at 55. And I personally think that benefits Ilya even more in this equation, right? I mean, we saw what happened when they're both at 45. If you're a Max fan, maybe you don't want to imagine what would happen at 55, but we could be wrong, I don't...
Yeah, I mean, it's less of a severe weight cut on Holloway. I think it was kind of hard for Ilya to make 145, but at the end of the day, it is a much easier route for Ilya just to make weight at these lower weight classes than someone like Holloway, who's, 6 foot?
Yeah, it was way more length on his side,
Granted, he has, T-Rex arms, but...
Yeah, co-main event as well, yeah?
Yeah. Fighting Nerds, we got Brawlhalla versus RDR. What do you guys think about that one?
I think this is going to be somewhat of a sleeper fight in terms of just, I feel like this is a fight that's going to go to a decision. Both guys, I feel like RDR, he's very unorthodox. He's going to try and get you with those knees to the body. And then Kyle, he's just very well-rounded. So I think this fight, I feel like it plays into Bahayo's part, it favors him a little bit more. Because I just don't see, RDR kind of getting through the 5 rounds and, not gassing out.
I mean, Kyle, like every other fighting nerd, he could just get you with one punch.
Right.
He'll take his time, he'll find that shot, and he'll get you with it.
And I think, too, this fight is just, with everything behind this card, people asking for a co-main event, people maybe necessarily saying the card isn't, as good as the past cards we've just seen. I think this fight could be one that either A, steals the show, or B, just completely has people sleeping in their seats. So
yeah, I mean, after that, you got, Rob Font versus Raul Rosas. I mean, it's not a great card.
in terms of, that star value, no, but I think it'll be a fun one for us diehards, yeah. That's all we have time for today. Maya, back to you.
Thank you for tuning into this week's The Huddle. I had a blast. I'm sure you had a blast. Let's have a blast next Friday, too. But until then, catch some clips on our Instagram. As always, I'm your host, Maya Perez, and we'll see you then.